Hello once again, audience. It is me, your boy TPT, coming at you not live and not from Twitch TV. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today, or evening, or morning, or afternoon. I hope you guys are having a good time right now. So today I'm going to be continuing our beginner guide series to Warhammer 3. And in this particular episode, I'm going to be covering leveling up your heroes and your lords. So, obviously, we have a few different options here. I will be covering Zarina Catherine as our legendary lord. I'll also be covering the Frost Maiden, the Boyar, and the Patriarch of Kislev. However, I will say, to be perfectly honest with you, particularly when it comes to heroes, leveling up isn't super important because of the fact that, you know, with level 50 being the new cap, essentially you can pretty much unlock everything. So I'm more going to be discussing what to prioritize first for heroes. And then obviously with the lords I will go into a bit more detail because obviously they don't get everything mostly. So anyway, we're going to be starting off with Zarina Catherine, of course. She is the main legendary lord. She's the first one that most people will play. Personally, I also do think she is stronger than both Boris or good old Madman Castalton. I do really like her abilities. Anyway, so we're just going to jump right into it. I have actually started on this, obviously, as you can see here, but there are definitely a few skills which I personally really like. The first one of which is firing drills. So the reason that I max out this ability pretty much first is because of the fact that in the early game, when you're building an army, typically what your army will look like will be this, okay? It'll just be a crap ton of Kossars, maybe like obviously a couple extra units that the army starts off with, and maybe some little Groms in there as well. So that's why I really like taking this ability first. And then later on, I will also grab this one right here, which is the best of the court, which is missile strength for ice guards, melee and melee defense for ice guards. No one cares about Zar guards. That's not important. But it's for the other two bonuses to the ice guards, because if you guys don't know, if we go down here, she gets minus 50% upkeep for ice guard units, which is why an endgame stack for Zarina will typically be herself, maybe a Frost Maiden, maybe a Patriarch, two little Groms, and then just all the rest will be between the Glaive Ice Guards and the dual-wielding Ice Guards. So that's typically what an endgame stack with her looks like, which is why this is obviously very important. And then also, as you get up here, you can pick up this one here, which gives melee attack, ammunition, and missile resistance to both Kossars and Ice Guards. And I do like to pick up the Battle Engineers as well, for the extra ammunition and reload time. The missile resistance doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, so the other, obviously, abilities that I like to grab, she does have her unique line as well, the Ice Mistress line, as I call it. So obviously, I do pick up this one, as it is very strong in terms of magic. I don't think Ice Magic is particularly strong, although I do really like Ice Maiden's Kiss, although it doesn't have any armor piercing, which does suck, unfortunately. But I still quite like it, particularly against weaker targets like your Marauders, and also your Demons. It's very good against Demons, because obviously Demons don't have armor. But yeah, so I do often grab this one, and then typically you've got these four right here, as well as this one here. So I will usually pick up all four of these eventually, because the wood save, 8% wood save on the entire army is really good. But my personal favorite is probably this one here, because of the control it gives to provinces, as well as a little bit of bonus devotion too. But this would be my second favorite here, because obviously it's another buff to Ice Guards, and it's very strong. I also do put her on a War Bear. As you can see, it significantly increases her stats. There's not really any downside outside of lore, because Zarina riding a War Bear is a little less exciting than her riding her Ice Chariot, but unfortunately Unfortunately, you know, we don't have that option, but I do think she's quite good on a war bear because obviously, again, it does give her, you know, extra charge bonus. It gives her a bunch more HP, bunch more armor, a bunch more speed. And I think, you know, it's not too bad. Plus, even though if you see there, it does remove her magical attacks and frostbite, but she gets it back with her unique sword anyway, so she will get those back, and she also gains armor piercing too. Anyhow, the other ones that I like to focus, this one's probably a little more controversial. These ones, it doesn't, honestly, I don't think it matters a huge amount. I do quite like to grab Reassuring Presence, or Leader of Renown early, although I think this ability isn't very good later on, because typically once you get her Ice Guard, you don't really need to re-recruit units. Iron Disciplinarian is pretty useless. Fervent is not bad, so often I'll pop like 3 into this, 1 into this, or thereabouts. Obviously pick up the Draft Master. Then here are the other important abilities which are down here. Lightning Strike, if this was Warhammer 2 and you're playing on a high difficulty, I would say Lightning Strike is pretty much mandatory. However, because of Warhammer 3's change to the AI, I don't really feel like it's as important. However, something that I do thoroughly enjoy taking is Logistician. Casualty replenishment rate is so useful. 6% is quite a lot, especially with the fact that you can combine it with technologies. You can get actually 2% from that, an extra 3% from that, which would give you a bonus 11%. Plus, if you do put a Patriarch into the army, it does also provide you with, I think it's 20% if it's maxed out leveled. Give me a second. I'll just check that real quick, but I believe it should be 20% when it's maxed out. So yeah, so it starts on for 8%, and then you gain an additional 9%, sorry, through this right here, which I'll cover in a second. But yeah, so I'm a big fan of replenishment rate, because essentially it means even if you have a bad fight, as long as your army isn't wiped out, you will recover quite quickly, and obviously you can get back into the fight. Which, you know, that's pretty important because you will be doing a lot of fighting on both the lower and the high difficulties, and it does just assist with expanding. Plus, obviously, because you've got an Ice Guard army, you know, they're quite elite, and so being able to replenish them quickly means that obviously you have a lot more military strength. I'm a huge fan of casualty replenishment. I think it is one of the strongest modifiers in the game. Unironically, I think it's really, really good. And as a demonstration for that, they've actually nerfed it in this game. This used to be, I believe, 10% in Warhammer 2 at max level, so they've actually nerfed it, which is evidence of what I'm talking about. I personally see it as. Anyway, for the magic, typically I don't really focus on her magic. Outside of, like, I'll normally put 2 points into Iceman's Kiss at some point, but generally I just focus on all 3 of her other lines, because magic, like I said, the magic is just not super strong, so I'm just not a huge fan of it. However, if you do want to know what I would take, typically, again, I'll put points into Iceman's Kiss, and then I'll pick up Frost Shield, as that is obviously the most useful ability besides Iceman's Kiss. Then I'll typically take like Ice Sheet. I do think Ice Sheet is not a bad, especially because you can get that down to 1 Winds of Magic. If you do it right, I think it's 1 or maybe it's 2. I can't quite remember. I think it's 1. Either way, obviously you grab Evasion. Typically I'll just pick up these 2 because, I mean, may as well, and then I'll usually just grab like Crystal Sanctuary or something, and then Arcane Conduit. Unfortunately, Arcane Conduit has also been nerfed in Warhammer 3, as it used to be a lot more powerful in the old games, as it used to also provide you with magic reserves as well. But either way, I don't really think these are as important as opposed to the other ones that I've previously discussed. Next, we'll go on to the Tempest Maiden. Pretty similar story here. I do often, obviously she does have these ones up here, which I don't particularly care about, to be perfectly honest with you. But I would probably pick something like maybe Eagle Eye or Scholar, because it just gives a little bit extra research rate. Like, it's not really important. I like Eagle Eye because of the ambush defense chance and the line of sight, you know, just a little bit of usefulness. Scouting is pretty useless. Boosting income is pretty useless if she's in your army, and all of these are also pretty useless if she's in the army, as well as they're all just campaign effects if you're using heroes as agents. with the exception of scouting. But magic drop item chance increase doesn't mean shit, frankly. I do really like Hailstorm. I do think Hailstorm is actually quite a solid ability. I am a decent fan of it, so I don't mind Hailstorm. Then obviously you'll pick up the Freezing Winds. I'll normally pop 3 points into Biting Wind, as it is a wind spell, and it does do 50% armor piercing, so it can be good against a bit more armored targets. Pick up these two. Pick either one of these, doesn't really matter, honestly. I typically go Blizzard, but like, I don't think either of them is particularly good, and then just grab the Arcane Conduit. Obviously, Immortality is probably your top priority. As soon as your character hits level 20, get Immortality. That's number one thing. As soon as it hits level 20, get Immortality. Get this at level 21. Don't bother with these until after you've grabbed Immortality. And Guardian's Call is pretty nice as well. It just gives you a Snow Leopard, you know, a little bit of extra damage. And it's nice. Just like a nice little bonus to protect her. Next off, we have the Boyar. Very similar here, very similar story to Katarine. This tree is your first priority. Grab firing drills. I don't typically equip my Boyars with Ice Guards. Typically, I will just leave them with their, again, like maybe an Ice Switch. Typically, I'll leave them with a Patriarch or two. And then I will leave them with the 2 little Groms, and just all the rest is Cossars. So I typically, with these guys, I don't bother with Best of the Court. I get 3 points into Firing Drills and 3 points into Skilled Craftsman. Grab that one. Skirmisher Traditions, Battle Engineers, Stand Your Ground. So those are the... But specifically, these 3 are the most important. The others are not as important, as these abilities only apply if they're rank 7. So if they're 1 Chevron Gold or above, which can take a little while. So these aren't as much of a priority. But this one definitely is. Then typically, it's the exact same ones down here. Really love Logistician. You can also pick up Quartermaster too. Gives you a little bit less upkeep, but I don't really think it's super necessary. And then Renowned and Feared gives you a bit more upkeep, a bit more movement range. I don't mind this, but obviously it is quite a bit down the track. But I usually pick it up. And then afterwards, obviously, grab the Warbear. Definitely, I like Heroic Resistance. I do like missile resistance when you put up on a bear, because obviously the bear does increase his hitbox size, which is important. So I don't mind the missile resistance. And then obviously you can just go down this line. Normally I pick up like the hit points, the melee attack, Foe Seeker, Wound Maker, Blade Master, Blade Shield, Deadly Onslaught. Because the other ones aren't as important. Armor is not that good. Charge bonus is okay, but typically, like, you know, charge bonus is only good at the start, not when he's consistently fighting. Last of all, we have the Patriarch, which does have a couple unique traits of his own, as you can see here. So with this one, I pretty much always grab Replenish Troops first. I think it's really, really good. Replenishment, like I said, I think it's one of the strongest modifiers in the game, so I love Replenish Troops. So this is typically my first priority. This one unlocks at rank 2, of which I typically go something like Salyak's Lullaby, but you can pick the other 2 as well. I don't think this is very good. I think this is okay, but I think this one is definitely the best, because if you look, you get, I believe it's 3 uses, 0.8% heal per second for 15 seconds. It's only got about a minute and a bit cooldown, so I do very much like this one. Then you've got here, so you've got the healer. Oh, that's why. That's right. This is where the 12% comes from. I remember now. It's this one right here, the healer, because that's the trait that I usually take. Because it gives you the extra 3% replenishment rate, which puts them up to plus 20% replenishment rate in total. You do also get Defatigable Leader, which I don't think is very good. Because like Vigor is like, who cares really? Plus like it combines those 2, which I don't think either of them are particularly good. You have Thunderous Orator, which is just leadership, which is, again, it's like kind of just meh. You do have Bearkin, which is just mainly just melee stats, but I don't really think melee stats are as important as his army-wide stats. And then you have Harsh Survivor, which is typically, I use this, I normally pick this one if he is, if he's like a hero, not sorry, if he's a agent, not embedded within the army. And then obviously last of all, you get this one. Don't forget, once again, rank 20, always grab Immortality first. Then I'll go like Icon of Strength, typically these two, Blessing Discs, then like Tenacity and Fervor, and then Enduring Devotion. So those are the priority that I take most of the traits in. On top of my head, Castalton doesn't really have any particularly wonderful unique traits. I wouldn't really change anything from what I've said. And Boris is kind of meh as well, if you ask me. A little bit of a more interesting start being up here, but just kind of meh, to be frank. Plus, if you're a beginner, you wouldn't have unlocked Boris yet, so because you need to do the quest battle up here to actually unlock him first. Either way, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. I hope this has assisted you in leveling. Next video, I'll probably be talking about either like technology, buildings, or maybe army composition. Although I feel like army composition is really simple with Kislev, so I might just tack it on to one of the other videos. But I definitely want to talk about technology, because I think there is definitely some technologies in here which are a lot stronger than others. I'll also be talking about the Motherland mechanics, and the supporters mechanics, and all the unique mechanics, the ice court, all that stuff. And also building priority. So anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.